Hi everyone, I'm Julie. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to the Scrapbooking 365 Days of Weather project for 2022. Now, this is a video collaboration with my very good friend Janice, and this is our last installment for the month of December. Now, we will be back in a few weeks to show you a front page and a back page for this album, and we will also do a complete flip through of the entire year. Now, if you're just dropping by on my channel, welcome. So for those of you who are new, the concept of this project is very much like the crocheted blanket weather project, where people would knit an entire row every day for the year, and then at the end of the year they end up with a really nice cozy blanket. Well, for me in particular, I don't knit, I don't crochet, so I thought I would apply that concept to scrapbooking, and well, here we are in December wrapping up our project. I do follow the daily weather report, and that link for Canadian weather will be listed down below, and it gives you every day the maximum and the minimum weather. Now, a lot of people have asked, how are you tracking your days? And you know what? I think halfway through the project, what I decided to do was that I would always look for the warmest day and the coldest day. And then I would kind of follow along, and then I would skip over and go down. And that's how I tracked my temperature. So you can do it whichever way you would like. You can always track the maximum temperature, which is the highest temperature of the day, or the minimum temperature, which is the minimum temperature of the day, or you can go right in the middle and use the average. But for me, I kind of like to show, especially here in Canada, that we were almost at plus 10 in December, which is really, really nice. And it really didn't go down below minus 13, which again is really nice. If I look back at the beginning of this project, we were in the minus 30s in January last year, so back up here. And if you look at my colors here, I'm still down in these temperatures here, and I quite like it, to be honest with you. Now, enough of that. I'm going to clear off my desk. I want to show you, before I get ahead of myself, how I'm going to gut out the center. If you look at the sketch that Janice created for the month of December, I do keep track of the colors and the quantities that I need when I'm cutting out these little circles, because I'm not using the Cricut Design Space file. I'm doing all of this manually with dies. So I will list down below the circle dies that I use to do my pages, and it's completely doable, but you have to keep track of all of them. So basically what I'm going to do, I'm using the Mix In paper collection, which is the October-December one. I've used 2 of the pages, and on the back side of this there's a stripe pattern, and I'm going to use the stripe pattern for this piece right here. Now I'm going to gut that out, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. Now here you see that I have 2 baubles, or ornaments as we call them here in Canada, and I'm going to take some design liberties here, and I went ahead and I cut these out of pine glitter paper, and I think that it looks really, really good with the colors that I'm playing with. New England Ivy is a color that has been retired, so if you're running out of your colors, if you're following along, you can change them up a little bit, and I do feel that these 2 really look really, really good on this layout. And I'm going to add this glitter here on this side. I might break down, I think I will actually, fire up the Cricut, and I will cut these in glitter as well. I try to minimize the Cricut cuts on my project, just to let you know that it is completely doable if you don't have a Cricut. So let me clear off this. I'm just going to push these over, And you're probably wondering, oh my God, you're going to miss your orientation, or you're going to mess up how they go back on the page. I've numbered all of them. So this is day 31. They've all been numbered on the back side. I'm going to use both sides of this sheet. And because I only have 2 sheets, I'm going to show you how to gut this one out. So you need a paper trimmer, and you can't use a guillotine paper trimmer. I'm sure you've seen this before, but it's worth repeating. Okay, so we're going to do this very quickly. My paper trimmer actually goes out to 1 1/4, which is exactly what I need. So I'm going to push my paper to the 1 1/4 mark right here on this side. And then I am going to bring my cutting blade to 1 1/4. So I'm going to drop it down right here. There's a measurement, 1 1/4. Just going to make sure that it's at the right location. Okay, and then I'm going to bring this down to the bottom, leaving 1 1/4. So I'm going to bring it down to 10 3/4. So I'm going to hold down, and I'm going to gently bring this down to 10 3/4 right here. Okay, and then I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to make sure that I'm lining up on the 1 1/4 on this side. I'm going to bring my blade up. I always like to start from the top. So at 1 1/4, I'm going to press that in. I'm going to go all the way down to 10 3/4 right here. Flip it over. Bring that back up. And go 10 3/4. And you can tell that I really slow down when I get to the bottom. And you will see how good this is as far as using your paper. This one here, I don't really need to measure because I already have my cut marks. So here is the gutted base page. Let me just move this out of the way. And then this one here is going to follow along with the sketch, and I am just going to flip that over. Let me see here. And I do want the stripes to be on the horizontal. So I'm just trying to make sure that it fits back in. There we go. So I just had to make sure that that fit back in. And look at that. Instantly, I have a really pretty pattern. It's the same sheet. I've gutted that out. I've got my piece in the middle. And then I'm going to add my photos here. And I'm going to add another piece that is going to be pine in the center where all my photos are going to be. And I think that that's going to look really, really good. So I'm going to clean this up. I don't think you need to see me put all of these together. I'm going to assemble all of my little baubles, or I should say my little ornaments. But before I do that, let me show you the thin cuts that I used. Okay, so let me quickly go through the dies that I've used to complete this layout. So the circles are from this set right here, and I will link that down below. It's a really good one to have. It starts at 1 inch and it goes all the way to 3 inches, so that is a really good set. And then for the toppers, for the most part, I use this one here, which is from this collection, and I believe it's still available. Well, the stamp is, but not the die. But if you have anything, look in your collection, your Christmas collection, and that looks really nice on pretty much all of them. I think that it really finishes that off. It did look a little bit small on this one right here, so I did go ahead and I used this is a tab from another set, and I will list this down below. I liked it and I picked it because of the scallop was the same as this one. Now it probably looks a little bit big here, but once I layer things up, I think that that's going to pass. And then for the tiny little ones, so these ones here are the 1 inch. And I decided to use this really cute bow. And this bow is from the Christmas Story card making kit. It's this little bow right here. And I think that looks really sweet on this ornament right here. So it's going to look something like that. I'm going to adhere all of my toppers onto my little ornaments here. I'm going to kind of do a dry fit, and I'll be back to show you how that looks. Okay, so this is the assembly that I have so far. I've actually adhered this side down for the photos. I've adhered all of my little toppers, and they look really, really good. And I did break down and I did cut out these awesome little trees. And as I suspected, I had to ask Janice, did you create these little trees? And she sure did. They are absolutely gorgeous. And I really like that I've brought in that pine color. So basically what I did for this side here is that I added a tiny little frame of pine. When I did the gutting out, my blade was a little bit dull and it left a little bit of a fuzz. I don't know what you call it. And I didn't really like it. So I added a tiny little frame, and then I framed all of my photos with that pine glitter paper. I think that that looks really, really awesome. So I'm going to have to bring that in here on this side. I am going to bring in the months of the year stamp set for the word December. I'm going to stamp that here. I haven't figured out if I'm just going to do a pennant or what I'm going to do with it, but I know that I'm going to stamp it most likely in pine, only because it's the darkest shade on my pages right here. So when I was gluing these down and keeping track of them, one thing that I did notice was that they were lying a little bit flat. So I think what I'm going to do next is that I'm going to add a little bit of shading at the bottom of all of these, tone on tone. So I'm just going to use my brushes and I'm just going to add a little bit of shading just so that they look a little bit rounder. I'm going to go ahead and get ready to do that. These have been like tacked down very lightly so that I don't lose them, and I'll have to do the same for these ones here. So let's move these over. So I'll be using some Glacier ink, Sage, and Caprice. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that, and I really do feel that they're going to pop more. So see the difference right here when you add that ink? It just gives it dimension, and I think that I'm going to do the inking all at the bottom and it's going to look really good. So I'm going to speed up the process and I'll take you along for the ride. I wanted to show you here that as I pull off my little ornaments, you'll see that my page here is ripped. And that's because when I got so excited when I cut down these little trees, I actually adhered this one right beside, leaving a full space. And it didn't look good. And if I would have taken a moment to look at the sketch, it is definitely overlapped. And when I pulled it off, it really ripped my page. And I only had one sheet, and I know that this happens to a lot of people. So what I've done here is that my little ornaments are all strategically placed to hide all of the rips on my base page because it's the only page that I have. So if you see some rips here, it's only because I flipped this over and I really tried to make this work. So I'm not sure if the camera is picking up on that, but I really do feel that adding a little bit of ink at the bottom really made a difference. If I didn't have my mess here of where I ripped my tree, and you can see, that's exactly those rip marks. this would look really good down here, but I'm gonna have to bring it up to hide that. And I'm just gonna lay it flat, and that's okay. You can see here that I did some with 3D foam tape. I added some of the twine. I think that that looks really, really good. And I'm going to try and adhere my photos now and kind of place them and add my title. My title is gonna go here. And I actually picked this picture because I knew there was a big blank space and that this possibly could come on to the photo. So I'm going to add this last one right here. And I was able to hide basically all of the rips that I did along the way and while I was doing some testing. So these are going to go clearly across. And I really like the way that that's turning out. Once they're all trimmed, they will look really, really good. So I think that I want to add a little bit more on the back side of this photo. So I'm going to do another mat in pine, and we're going to continue on. I didn't think you wanted to see me adhere all of these down, but I'm going to show you the last couple that I'm going to do right here. And I just wanted to recap the treatment that I did to the little ornaments. I did add some ink blending at the bottom just to give them a little bit of dimension. And then I sprayed all of them with this sheer shimmer craft spray, and it just gives them a nice little shimmer. And I don't know if you can see that, but it looks really good in real life. So I am also adhering them. Some are with 3D foam tape, some are not. And because I don't have to worry about hiding something on my page here, this is 31 and this is 30, I'm able to like let these dangle down quite a bit, and I really like that. So I'm going to add this one, I think, with a foam dot. Find that it just gives them a little bit of dimension. I used the thin one, I didn't use the thick one. So I'm going to add this one here. And because of my photo, I'm not going to add to the photo. And then this is day 31. I'm going to add foam tape on this one as well. I'm going to add a couple here just to give it balance. And I think I'm going to sneak the string on the back of the other two. So let's see if I can get that done. So we're going to add this one. I think we're going to add it kind of like here. And then I'm going to lift this one. Cannot lift this one. So you'll see that when you put these down, that you're going to have to, let me see if I can sneak that on the back side. All right, I think on the back side is going to be better. And then I've got this, and I didn't want to have too much going on in front of this one here. So I'm going to lift it, and then I'm going to pull my strings underneath. So there's some layering that is necessary, but I love the end result. And Janice has been talking about this layout for months, where she wanted to use little baubles to do the month of December. And I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out. And you know what? It is absolutely gorgeous. I'm missing one here. This little guy. Day 29. Look at that. And it's perfect because it's going to fill in this little hole. And again, I'm going to sneak that to the back side. Let's pull them out straight. And then let's add this one right here. And just hold them down. And then add this one. There we go. Okie doke. Yeah, that would have been way too many strings going over that one. And I noticed that this one here is not adhered down. So basically what I do with these little guys is that I just use 3D foam dot, and I add the dot right at the top in the back of the bow. And I am going to straighten out the kinks of my little twine here. And I just fold it in half. Now this is a really long piece, but it was already cut. And I just added to the back side. So I'm just going to glue this little guy here and this little guy here, and then I'll do a quick recap of all of the really pretty elements on this page. Okay, so I have all of my little ornaments at the top. You see that I've got all my mess of strings. I don't mind if some of them go over some of the ornaments. Like this one here, I don't mind. I've ran this one underneath. I did go underneath for most of these here, so maybe I'll tuck this one underneath. But basically what I do at this point, let me just sneak this one underneath. Like so. And basically what I do at this point is I just flip this over, and I'm just going to use washi tape, and I am going to tack these down. I just pull on them so that they're straight, and they're quite long actually. I wish I didn't cut them so long. And I'm just going to tack this down. Now this is not going to look pretty on the back side, but I don't think anybody's gonna see this once inside my album. Okie doke, so these have been all flipped to the back side. I'm just going to turn this over and trim the top of these ones right here. Okay, so these are the completed pages, and I am so happy on how they turned out. I love the trees, and you know what? When I cut these out of the pine glitter, I actually kept all of the inside pieces. I just tacked them down with washi tape, and I think these are going to make really pretty cards. So I'm going to keep the negatives of them definitely. And even though some of the colors are not exactly what would match on this layout, I think that it looks really, really good. So let me take this up closer. So I did substitute this one. It should have been New England Ivy, but I think I just had to add a little bit of glitter and glam for the last month of this project. We will be back soon, and we will give you a bonus assembly video for a cover page and a back page. But for now, go on over to Janice's channel and see what she did with her Australian weather. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a fantastic week. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.